Hi guys, so today I thought I would do the baby's 1 month postpartum. She's turned 1 month on the 15th of July, so I just thought I would tell you what's been going on in those few weeks. I wrote it all down and I'll go week by week. So, 1 week postpartum. For Ailey, she was a very, very poorly little baby. We got let out of the hospital about midday on the 15th of June. By about 2 o'clock the next day, we were back in hospital. She hadn't fed, she'd fed maybe twice while she was out of hospital. She was very lethargic, she was starting to get a bit yellow. So we went into the children's ward, they took some bloods, they said, oh, it's probably just a bit of jaundice. And then about an hour later they were like, the bloods are worse than we thought they were going to be. There's signs of an infection, she's got jaundice, and we have to test for meningitis as well because she's showing the symptoms, which when you think it's just going to be a little bit of jaundice, it's quite scary and nerve-wracking. She wasn't feeding, so she had to get an NG tube in, and she had to get what's called a lumbar puncture. It's where they hold them like in a ball and get fluid from the spinal cord, which was so scary. Obviously the meningitis came back all clear, so she just doesn't have that, so that was very good. She had to get antibiotics 3 times a day through a cannula, which was put in her little foot and then her little hand, and she was put under like an incubator, and it was just one of the worst times of my life because I just couldn't hold her, and seeing her so poorly and not acting like a normal newborn was just, it's getting me emotional. So we were admitted on the Friday, and I was in until Monday afternoon, where they let us have home leave, so we just had to come in every 8 hours for her IV antibiotics, because she had those until she was at day 8. We were feeding half and half with breast and formula, just because obviously she had to have an NG tube. I had to pump all of the milk that she was getting, and obviously my milk hadn't came in for a while, so they were kind of topping it up with formula, whatever I couldn't feed, couldn't express. She went down from £7.3 to £6.14. With me on that week. It was definitely stressful. Being in hospital, it felt like I couldn't recover properly. I didn't have any help. I was really sore. There was no bath that I could use, so I couldn't even have a bath for those few days. So it just felt so, it wasn't good for my recovery, and I had my blue days, you know, when you have like those days that you just cry in the hospital, which was so horrible because the nurses just didn't give up a care in the world. The after pains were so bad. With Laura they were bad for me, but this time, oh my god, I thought I was dying. It was like one of the nights and the nurse came in and she was like, you don't look good. I was like, no, I'm not good. And my boobs started getting sore at that point, obviously all still in hospital, so it was just all just horrible. Postpartum week 2 for Ailey, so she still had to go into hospital 3 times a day to get IV antibiotics. Was discharged, oh, it was at 9 days old she was discharged, and she was finally acting like a newborn, so waking up for feeds instead of us waking her up or having to feed her, and she was just starting to actually wake up and be more alert. First half of the week was definitely more formula fed, and then I started to introduce more breastfeeding again. I think I did about 2 breastfeeds at the end of that week. Day 11, her cord fell off. With me, I was still bleeding, very heavy still, and it was still very painful down below. A lot easier and less painful than with Laura's birth, but it was still very painful down below. And my boobs had went down a bit, so that was always good because they weren't engorged anymore. For week 3, Ailey was waking every 2 to 4 hours for a feed, taking around 3 ounces. She's much more alert, actually can stay up for about an hour in a burst. She had her first bath at day 15. She absolutely loved them, and she fell asleep when I was bathing her. And she finally started to outgrow newborn clothes at around week 3. My bleeding started to die off, but it still came on and off. So like it would stop for about half a day, and then it would start again, and then it would stop and then start. And then the pain was definitely disappearing from down below, and my mood had finally started settling, so I wasn't having those just random bursts of crying. Breastfeeding was pretty much, at that point I thought it was coming to an end, that was going to be the last week. She had about 2 breastfeeds a day, between 5 to 20 minutes. Week 4, which was last week, she was staying up a bit longer. She now stays up for about 3 hours at a time during the night time, and during the day it's about an hour, maybe a few times during the day. She takes about 4 ounces in her bottle now. She was weighed at 3 weeks one day, and she weighed 8 pounds 3, so they were like, whoa, she's a beast. She's gained a really good amount of weight, and she's starting to wear up to 1 month clothes and 0 to 3 months clothes. And at night time she can go about 5.5 hours without waking for a feed. With me, the bleeding has now stopped. I did the deed at 4 weeks postpartum. With Laura, I could never imagine even doing it that early. It was about 8-9 weeks with Laura, and it was still sore. So this time, it just shows you that I have definitely recovered a lot easier this time round than when I had stitches. Definitely all healed there. Still doing about 3 breastfeeds a day, lasting between 10 to 20 minutes. I think she likes it more for the comfort. She's not had any nipple confusion, which I'm so happy for. Like when she goes into the bottle, she'll have a few weird sucks at the start, like she's like, oh, or if she goes into the boob, she'll have a few weird sucks at the start because she's like, which one is it? But after like that, she's absolutely fine. See, that's pretty much me and her for this 1 month. Sorry, it's been a bit rambly, and I've just been looking at my phone because it was all written down. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!